Good afternoon. We're back. Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. By the way, I have a link right there. DeJoly is with me right now, and so we were in a previous segment. We were talking about foraging. We've been talking, and she and I love plants, flowers, just what if it grows, we want to, even if it's a weed with no name, we may find somewhere for it. Absolutely. But no, she's also an author and a speaker, and you want to talk about that for a few minutes? Now folks can find out info on you.
Yeah, I would like that. You've got a link up there to some books that I've written. I want to make sure that your audience knows that those books are not about foraging and plants. Mm-hmm. Those books are about trauma, healing from trauma, and having a good life after healing. It's not easy to go through the things that you have to go through in order to have a good life, but the benefits are they're actually the best thing that ever happened to me, going through the pain of recovery. A lot of people who, I would say that all of us, every single one of us has experienced trauma in our lives. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if it's the birth trauma coming through that canal, and that's a trauma. But to come into a family that may not appreciate you as a human being and may treat you in not so good ways, those are traumas. Just the idea that somebody that you cared about looked at you the wrong way when you were a child, that could be a trauma. And so depending on what it is, there's all kinds of healing methods that can be used. In one of my books, I actually go into a lot of that detail, but I go from the story of the abuse to the recovery from the abuse. And then the third book is about having a good life afterwards, after the healing process. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I thought I was done. I thought I was done, finished, and I could have my good life and just move on. But I think that when things happen in your life that it's like bumping into a wall or hitting your head on a ceiling, not knowing what's going on, should alert you to some things that might still be happening in your life. Like I thought that I had healed from some of the abuse that I went through. And what I understand now is that there is a layer of like the hum in a room, okay, the hum of a machine that's been around you forever, and you begin not to hear it. It just doesn't even affect you anymore. Where you might heal, you might hear it occasionally. Most of the time, you don't. So that hum, I'm going to symbolically say that's the level of underlying grief that we have in our lives that mm-hmm. is related to trauma. And so, but we can't name it. That's complex post-traumatic stress disorder, as if you want to put it in a medical term. For me, it's like I need to get through that grief in order to have the complete open ability to have joy and love and caring people in my life. Because if I foster joy in my life, which I am, I want to make sure that I have all of my cells open to it, Mm-hmm. And so having that low-laying grief that I haven't dealt with is real important to move into that, to not shy away from it and have my feelings about it, and then deal with each of those feelings and as they come up. It's especially important in relationships. I found that at one point I was doing a lot of my healing not in relationships, because sometimes it's really hard for people to be around when you're going through things and you want to slam the doors and break a dish and scream, you know. But when you're in relationship and you want that relationship to work in a very loving and healthy way, you have to really deal with your own stuff. You have to deal with bringing all that garbage into the new relationship, and how that will affect the relationship is important to know that garbage can affect that relationship. So that has to do with that underlying grief. And I think that I'm going to have to write another book because there's a story behind it all. And people need to know that it's not going to kill them to look at that. It's actually going to enliven them and open their lives to more healthy relationships, more abundance, more joy than they ever had imagined. I've been reading several books that I'm going to just give you an example. I'm reading a book called Mother Hunger, and it has to do with what female children, or children in general, what female children experience when their mother is unable to care for them in a way that they need. Like, all babies need to be held. All babies need to see that eye contact with their loving mother. And if that doesn't happen, then those kinds of things go into that hum, that hum, and that not getting that all through your life, you're searching for that. You're searching for someone who will look at you in that way and be there. And when you find it, as somebody's willing to look at you that way, then you glom onto them like a snail on a stone. they want every bit of that. So that becomes smothering in a relationship. So you end up, destroying what you had, but because you haven't dealt with your own mother issue. And so I'm doing just that little example of bringing that into a relationship. And a lot of times those characteristics of the people that are still wanting that mother issue, the mother hunger, characteristically, those might be called codependent people. But codependency isn't a bad thing. It's just something that happens. For a long time, I was like, don't you call me codependent, that kind of thing, But that's judgmental. That's judgmental about what happened. And it doesn't have anything to do with who you are. The essence of who you are is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And to have those things put onto you, the things that happen to you make us, or that the things that happen to us, in particular me, make certain characteristics come out. And me, it's like, I need to deal with that now because I don't want that destroying my relationship. So I'm 74 years old and I'm still learning. I'm still learning about, foraging, but I'm also learning about different aspects of my life, because when I looked yesterday at something, I realized that one of the rules, the unspoken rule in my family, was you cannot outshine your parents. You cannot make it better than your parents. So I kept myself small. I kept getting into unhealthy relationships. And then I realized that one of the ways that I wasn't supposed to outshine them was in my relationships. They were miserable together. And yet the rule was, don't outshine them. Don't get a good relationship. So I realized that those kinds of aha moments, the realizations that I have over these past months of more examining, are so important for me to resolve, so that I don't bring that into the relationships, or that we can resolve it together, because sometimes it does take another person to reflect back what it is that they see that you're doing or feeling or whatever, because I can feel a lot of stuff, but it often takes that other person in relationship to say, you're reacting to me in a not, over the top kind of reaction. Why are you having that kind of reaction? And then if you're sincere and want an equal relationship, then you're going to examine that. You're going to want to look at that.
Mhm.
So,
well, let me ask you a question, and this is about awareness.
mhm.
So, and I'm pretty sure it happens on different levels, but let me ask you this. So, if I am aware, let's say, because I went into a weird relationship with my parents too. You know, it was from birth on.
Yeah.
And so, do you come to an awakening? Is it just like one morning you wake up and you go, I get it? Or is it something that has to be learned? Is it something that has to be, you have to go through segments of learning?
Well, I think there are segments, just like in anything. You get to a place where, oh, now I've got it. And then something else will happen and you'll say, oh, now I've got it. And so it's kind of like you grow. It's not, you never wake up and you're done. You know, you're never going to wake up and say, oh, now I've got it all. I don't have to think about that anymore because I'll, you know, no. There's always, it seems like there's always something else. Now, not everything is going to be traumatic and not everything's going to be huge, but I think it's real important to, first of all, accept that things didn't happen really in a good way in our families, and that there are things that we can learn from it, and it's nobody's fault. Because, for instance, we have cultural wounds that we have inherited over millennia that we just accept as okay. It's not okay. The wounding fields of shame, betrayal, and abandonment are cultural all over the world. So if we see that we're shaming someone, even if it's in the form of a joke, jokes can are like sideways zingers. You know, they poke at people, and so if we see that those kinds of things are shaming actions, then that awareness that it's shaming can bring us to a conclusion that I don't want to do that anymore. That doesn't feel good. Let me try something different. And that's when you want to go into looking at other ways of behaving, other things that have happened to us that have caused us to take on and accept those cultural wounds. And the healing aspect of that is about loyalty, honor, commitment. Those are the three healing fields that you can see all over the world. If you implement those, then you can negate, you can erase, or you can mitigate shame. So,
actually, we're going to have to go into a commercial break.
Okay.
And I hate to break you up on this, but let's go into a break, and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. And I know you probably have some questions for DeJoly. If you'll use my email address, which is donna@donnasedge.com. Next time she's on the show, we'll go ahead and answer some of those questions. So we'll be right back in just a minute. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256 281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a My Pillow or not, you need to get the brand new My Pillow 2.0. Call or go to mypillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much for watching. It was a break, but we are back. Very, very interesting subject. A lot of folks have went through trauma in their lives. It's not just you and me, is it, DeJoly?
No, I think everyone that's living in this world right now has been through trauma. And sometimes what happens is, we were talking during the break about the fact that if our parents were going through trauma at that time, because of their system reacting to that trauma, which could have been the Depression, it could have been World War II, it could have been pretty much anything, that stress of that trauma was imbued and infused into our systems, our physical systems, and we got it. So that underlying trauma is there. But, you know, when I was talking to you about the book called Mother Hunger, that has to do with the things that we didn't get as infants and toddlers and children from our mothers, who is our primary care person. And sometimes you're able to have like a stepfather or a grandmother or someone who will take care of you in a loving. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, she's back. Whew.
I muted myself. I don't know. I touched my screen and it muted. But there's that underlying need for all of us to have that. And that's a human characteristic. It's not just that we're, weak or whatever you want to call it. It's a human characteristic to want to have that connection with our caregiver. And if you have it with a stepfather or a grandmother or someone who is taking care of you, that's one thing. But there's that bottom line connection with the mother from whom you entered this world, that we want that. So you don't have as much trauma if you have that, grandmother or stepfather or whoever who's taking care of you can give you that care. But you do have that, when we're talking about generational, we're talking about stuff from behind. Well, go back just to the mother's womb. That right there is important for you to resolve, for anybody to resolve, so that you can notice your characteristics that come along with that, which are that wanting so badly to be cared for, to be loved, to be accepted, to do well, all of those things that where it's over the top. Those kinds of things come from not getting the mother love that you needed and wanted. So I recommend, my personal recommendation is that we all continue through our lives doing our personal work, which is to examine why we do certain things, and not just to accept the things that people tell us we should be doing or that we ought to be doing, or making us guilt tripping us and that kind of thing. That for me, it's like I will question everything. I was doing that when we were talking about politics. You question everything. And I think that every characteristic that we have that seems kind of over the edge, those need to be looked at.
Yeah, I think so too. And something, I can be in a room full of kids. I can point out the ones who are having some issues at home. I can just tell. They don't have to say a word. A lot of times it's from the expression on their face. They're in this deep thought. They're just, there's some kind of unhappiness there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like as we get older, and there's definitely that. I've seen that myself. But when we get older, we have a tendency to have issues around money, things that we don't, or body issues. We have food issues. We end up having drug addictions, that kind of thing. And those all can go back and be related to the things that happened to us as infants. And I don't mean that there's blame. I'm not blaming anyone. I just know that to be true, because we pick up energy. We have, you pick it up from the children that you see in the schoolroom. I pick it up too, but we all are energy, and we all experience energy from other people. That's called connection. And if you see things happening in your life that you wonder why you didn't get the promotion when somebody mediocre got the promotion, or you wonder why you got sick when you had a presentation to do, those kinds of things happen because we have a ceiling that we say, well, we can't accomplish over that amount because, my parents didn't, and I can't do better than them. But we don't say that consciously. We say that from an unwritten rule in our family that came from, you don't do better than us. You can't, or what are you, think you're better than us? Have you heard that before? Are you crazy? Or do you think you're better than us? And I'm like, those kinds of things are underlying a lot of the reasons that you don't get the promotion and you get sick on the presentation day, and just all kinds of things, why there's an accident. Sometimes accidents just happen, but sometimes accidents are caused because we can't experience beyond what the rule is. We are not allowed to do that consciously.
But now once you get the awareness, and I don't know that you ever really totally figure it out, but once you get the awareness, are you less out for these things to happen or not happen? Yeah.
But you have to, it isn't something that you just get an awareness of. You get the awareness, and then you have to do things that will clear that out of your psyche, your body, your everything, because that's not something that just is one day it's gone. It's kind of like learning the alphabet. You learn one letter at a time. And you just have to clear out one thing at a time, basically. And sometimes a lot of stuff goes away at the same time. But I was mentioning earlier, it isn't something you wake up and all of a sudden you're aware. It comes over time with experiencing different things that are healing. Knowing if I'm in a relationship with somebody who's always criticizing me, that doesn't feel good. And so I want to know why I've chosen someone who will continually criticize me. And it isn't about them, it's about me. Why have I, I'm not pulling fault here either, because we attract energies and we push energies out. So we attract energies from people who might be fulfilling some, rule in our head. Like for me, it was, I didn't deserve to have a good relationship, or I didn't deserve to have more money, or I didn't deserve, it was kind of like, but that was an unwritten rule in my family of, you can't make it better than us. You are not going to be, because, and that goes back to one of the hidden rules is you're somehow or other, you're flawed. You're just flawed. There's something wrong with you. When in reality, there's nothing wrong with us. We were not born with something wrong with us. Those things got put on us. They were laid upon our table and we ate.
Years and years and years of being told that.
That's right.
Well,
and that goes back generations. It's not just about us here, right here in this world. It goes back, and it's cultural as well as individual within a family. That's a culture, because you can be in you can be in a world like America, and still within that, like if you're Irish, you have an Irish culture, and within the Irish culture, your family exists within a community of Irish people. I'm not going Irish. I don't know. It's just something that just came into my brain, but you have to know that your family becomes a culture too.
Yeah.
You learn to adhere to the rules within your family. That old rule about don't say anything outside the family. These four walls is where all of us keep this within the four walls of our home. So you learn to be secretive.
I know I did, but I wanted to tell you something that I found out was a great lie. I would hear over and over again that so-and-so got the promotion because they slept with everybody. There was always a reason that somebody got this promotion. That is a lie.
Yep.
That's a lie from Satan himself, because that has nothing to do with how ambitious you are. It has nothing to do with any of that. I know, because when I started getting promotions, I was like, oh, family's going to think I've slept with somebody. I didn't. I worked hard. And I got the promotions. So don't ever feel guilty, whoever you are. Never feel guilty about being promoted. It does not mean that. Just because somebody put that in your head. DeJoly, we got to call it a day. Man, not enough time. Next time we'll just have to do the whole hour on this, because it's out there and everybody's going through it. Almost everybody. That's why there's so many comedians. And I wanted to mention this. One of my go-to people is Carol Burnett. I love Carol. Carol Burnett told once about, somebody asked her why she does this. And she said it was for her grandmother. And her mother was an alcoholic. Was never around, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So she was so grateful for the relationship she had with her grandmother. And she said, so that was just a little thing between her and her grandmother at the end of the show. Do this, that meant I love you, to her grandmother. So with that being said, I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you, DeJoly, for being on the show with me. It's always
thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure. And it's always a pleasure to be with you as well. You take care, and I'll be seeing you soon.